Hello, welcome to the Excalibur podcast, the podcast following the creation of the Welsh fantasy feature film Excalibur from beginning to end. I'm the writer and director of that film, Dan Freeman, and on the other end is the production designer, Dr. Dave Palser.
Hello.
Say hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
So, Dave, ask me why you shouldn't read books on script writing.
Now, one of the things I've always wondered, really, and a lot of people tend to say this sort of stuff, is why shouldn't you read books on script writing?
Well, that spontaneous question, Dave, leads me to this answer. The reason you shouldn't read books on script writing is because you're a complete and utter moron. Because there is this sort of myth that script writing, unlike other forms or other crafts or arts or whatever, is somehow different, and that you can't learn it, which to me says that it's you think it's somehow a product of chance or utter randomness. And in fact, writing a script, if you think about the number of films or TV shows that you've seen, I mean, I'm sure you saw one last night and you thought, oh, this is, and you switched it off. I mean, how often has that happened where you've watched a few minutes or something and it's like, oh, this is no good? It's really difficult to write well.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenally complicated thing, a script.
Of course it is. And I think that for many, the script is almost incidental. That's where we're at. Especially for IPs and a series that have merely become platforms. The script is no longer what is important. And also, people who produce books on how to write on how to write script. People, it's the effective kind of it's a quick buck for those who feel that they can fill a market for people who wanting to somehow get a quicker route to success. And by buying that book on how to write,
I disagree with you there, Dave, strongly, because it's like saying that people who write books on art are just trying to get the artist market this is what I mean. I mean, people don't know. I'm sure you've never read a book on script writing, but
I have. I have actually. I have. Robert Rodriguez did one when that guerrilla filmmaking stuff was happening, and he was doing his film. Yeah, there was something. But of course, I think I must be talking about 1997, which is a long time ago now. So
yes, but there is a huge parasitic market of industry of people preying on people who want to write scripts. But there's also a kind of almost a kind of keep out feel by script writers who say, oh, it's magic what I do. You can't possibly. And I mean, it is magic, but only to the extent that Caravaggio was magic. But Caravaggio learnt the basics first and then became better than them.
Yes.
And that's what you must do with script writing. And script writing follows a form. It's very much like an opera. You don't go start writing an opera and go, oh, I'm not going to have music or a first act and a second act and overture and whatever because that's all. I don't want to get caught up in formula. It's not formula, it's a form. And it's studying script writing is understanding that there is a form, that there are ways that generally work. It's understanding how the structure of stories work generally, and then being able to know that and do better than that. Yes. And people who say, oh yeah, I don't, it's become, if you read that's formulaic. It's like saying you read The Hungry Caterpillar, you start eating everything in sight. You can understand the formula, the form, without slavishly following it, and knowing about it doesn't mean you slavishly follow it. And the other thing is that it is there have been thousands of years of storytelling and thousands of years of, for example, painting, art. Now, do you start at the beginning of the history of painting and just evolve your style, as humanity has done, to the point where we can do so much now in painting? Or do you start cave painting in 2D images and then work it out for yourself? Or do you study people who've already worked it out and studied it and created books on painting and or techniques and can teach you? Obviously, the answer is to stand on the shoulder of giants and to paint, to start at the most advanced point possible in human knowledge of painting and try and advance. And the same is true with storytelling. So read, if you want to write scripts of any form, read the books, get the knowledge that has been distilled from thousands of stories, millions of stories into books by people who have studied it and analyzed it, because it's an analyzable thing, because it's complex. There is craft and art there. And the other thing that people often say is, well, so-and-so's written Robert McKee wrote a book called Story, a famous scriptwriting book. How many scripts has he ever made? I've never heard of his scripts. That's because teaching and analysis and practice are different. Think of your favorite teacher at school. Think of that inspirational teacher. If it was mine was a biology teacher, no Nobel Prize winning biology treatises, no great discoveries in germ warfare, germ biological treatments or whatever.
Interesting you went there, but go on.
Yeah. Teaching and analysis are different things. Read the damn books. Read the books. It will not make you formulaic. It will make you understand and it will give you a platform to start from. And my favorite book on script writing is Save the Cat. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
This is a magnificent book. It's written by a guy called Blake Snyder, who is no longer with us, sadly. And I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but he was a poor scriptwriter, but a terrific teacher. And this book is such a lively, informative read. And just look at it as well. It's brief, because what you want to be doing is writing, not reading. You want to be, you want the formula, the sort of formalism set out in an entertaining, lively, enthusiastic, but brief way. Yes. You just want help, read this book. It's fantastic. And it's so cheerful, and people slag it off and go, oh, it's responsible for the sameness of all Hollywood movies. It isn't. People who don't read the books are responsible for the sameness. It's just guesswork if you don't read the books. If you don't refer back to the advances that humanity has made in storytelling, if you don't understand those, then you understand nothing, and you are arrogant, and your scripts are probably going to be rubbish.
Very good.
That's the end of my rant.
Very good.
Are you glad you asked now, Dave?
I'm delighted. I'm delighted. I'll be cancelling my my orders on from Amazon about good script writing. I think just in defiance. Is that? I do agree that we do have to learn, because there is in any creative, I think there is a degree of arrogance, because by the very nature of creativity is sticking your head above the parapet and saying, "Look at me." It is.
It is.
And
but it's also
it's a natural reaction, I think, rather than a contrivance. And there's a lot of contrivance artists, creators out there, as much as there are true creatives, and we have to somehow navigate to work out who's the sued. You know, we need to be able to point the fingers and go, they're not wearing anything. Insert various names, and who the true
here, Dave.
The true genii are. Who, you know, that's what we have to work out. But I totally agree. Is that you do kind of need shortcuts, because otherwise you
need
might,
teaching. It's teaching.
You need teaching, but neither do you then want to just fall into academia, of the academia trap, and actually have that your creativity sucked out of you by doing yet another doctorate. You know, it's
well, yeah, it's a bit rich coming from you, Dr. Dave. But, yes. But I think that what my point is, that analysis, that if there's something there, if there's technique, you can analyze it. And some people, God bless them, have analyzed it. That's their field. Blake Snyder was a great analyst. And frankly, because he was again, it sounds terribly cruel, but he was sort of a hack. He was desperate to sell scripts. So he really analyzed it. I mean, he did. Fair play. He sold scripts, but he was a higher form of person, a higher form of human who enables other people's creativity, which is
Catalyst.
The pinnacle. Yeah. The pinnacle of human existence, I think, is the enabler, the person who helps other people to get on. And he did it in such an efficient way. So I have no time for these people. I mean, particularly script writers, producers. Oh, you don't want to do that. You'll get formulaic. You won't. It's defensiveness and it's insecurity. And to me, it shows that you don't know what you're doing. Because a script is this blueprint for a vast business. And when I say a business, I don't mean so that people can make loads of money. I mean so that carpenters, continuity people, camera people, sound people can make a living. And you can think of the number of films and TV programs you've seen recently with exquisite craft, millions of pounds worth of costume, of effects, of actors. It's all for nothing if the script isn't bulletproof, because it all hinges on the script. So that's why it's incumbent upon us as directors and producers to analyze that script to death, because millions of pounds of other people's money, and I don't mean just investors, I mean ordinary people, craftspeople, that whole crew, 70 people or whatever, and more, and post people and what have you. Many livelihoods depend on this. So you've really got to absolutely batter that script into existence. Otherwise, the building you build off those blueprints will be wobbly and collapse. And it won't be just you that it takes out.
Hello,
got a bit apocalyptic there.
Amazon, Rings of Power. Take heed. Well, I don't think there's going to be any more of that.
Do you not think? Do you think it's dead?
Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, whatever you think of it, and I'm trying not to let you say what you think of it, but there is huge amount of craft in that.
Exactly. When you look at how many people were involved in that disaster, these things will damage people psychologically. You're only as good as your last job, and when people say, "Well, what was your last job?" and they hear people say it was the Rings of Power, you will be judged not on just how fantastic the costume was or wasn't. But the whole everything gets lumped into that, and I would hate to be associated with something that was so universally derided and despised.
I don't know. I think quite a lot of people like it, but I mean, my Uncle Paul said, only a true friend will tell you if there's a bogey hanging out of your nose. If you say, you say to someone, they're going out into the street and you say, you've got a bogey hanging from your nose, they go, all right, mate, we're not all perfect or something. They go out and into the street and get people going, it's, if you've got your pants down, you want people to tell you you've got your pants down before you go out on the street. And, people say to me, we look at a script for me. So I look at a script for them. I don't do it for people anymore without getting paid a lot, because they will say, look, will you look at my script for me? And I go, yep, sure. And I tell them if it's got a problem, that it tell them, tell them what's wrong with it. And then they go, oh, well, you don't necessarily whatever. You go, okay. And they go out and it fails.
Yeah.
It's madness to be defensive like that.
Of course it is. But defensive is actually, when people ask, I think they're actually just looking for affirmation, aren't they?
A lot of the time they're asking for a pat on the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
But professionally, when people, one producer, a very storied producer, asked me to look at something, and I told him it shouldn't be made, and he was offended and made it, and it shouldn't have been made. It really failed badly. It is just not good enough. And I have to, in my own defense here, I take criticism, don't I? I mean, on the script, course. I invite criticism from everyone, and I don't like it, but I take it because we cannot rest a production of lots of people's livelihoods, lots of people's wonderful efforts, all the art and stuff, on my ego.
No, you can't. As creatives, I think it's a huge, it's a huge hurdle to leap that you don't care. And once you don't care, it's incredibly liberating, because you have arrived at the point that if you don't care, there's nothing to prove. And so, but all you are doing is serving what you're supposed to be doing. And as soon as kind of preciousness and ego comes into the equation, you're doomed. You're absolutely doomed, because people aren't criticizing you. And especially when you've asked for it. So what do you think of this? There's a difference between actually what do you think of this.
You're weird because you don't care what anyone else thinks. You just do your thing. And I do care very much. I'm very sensitive, but I can't. I just know that I'd be more sensitive. It's simply that I know the hurt to me and everyone else would be much greater if I go out, if we create this film and it fails. That will hurt me, hurt everybody, and we'll never recover. That's why we've been at this script for years.
Yes.
Perfecting it again and again and again, refining, testing.
And still. And I think that the whole reveal of last week's episode proves that it is continually in a state of flux. Obviously, there will be a point where it has to be nailed down, but we haven't reached that yet.
We're not there yet. We've got to keep improving it. Keep improving it.
Keep tightening it. Keep polishing it.
Yeah, and keep suggestions. Keep coming up like wonderful, like this. Changing the name of Taliesin. I mean, that's been Merlin for years. So before we go, I just want to mention there are other good books as well. This is Save the Cat is the one to read. It's beautifully brief, happy, full of joy and excitement. And he was irrepressible in his sort of enthusiasm for script writing and for filmmaking. There is another great book by John York called Into the Woods, which is more comprehensive and is certainly worth reading. There are others as well. There is Story by Robert McKee, Samuel Goldwyn's screenplay. Was it William Goldman? I can't remember. Anyway, read the books. That's my top tip for you. So I think we've exhausted ourselves once again. So thank you for watching and listening. Please find us on excaliburfilm.com. Join the Patreon, where you can see behind the scenes as we create the film, as we create the Welsh fantasy feature film Excalibur. I'm the writer and director of the film. My name is Dan Freeman. And on the other end, my other half is Dr. Dave Palser, the production designer. So thank you very much. Goodbye, and say goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, Dave.